Thank you, Maureen. I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, thank you. Well, hi, my name is Maureen and I'm a cancer survivor and also a peer support volunteer with Counterpart, formerly known as Recan. And like many other women, I had a history of girly problems, heavy periods, cramping and such. But throughout 2010, my fatigue and pain levels really ramped up. After struggling to get any sort of diagnosis, I eventually changed doctors, and after a few tests, a theatre bed was booked to remove what was thought to be a rather suspicious right ovary. What I didn't know when I entered surgery that day, and what nobody else was really expecting, was that my life was about to be irrevocably changed. On that December day in 2010, it was discovered that I had ovarian cancer.
Use the microphone.
Okay. It had indeed started my right ovary, but had also spread to my left ovary. Both fallopian tubes, my uterus, cervix, bowel, omentum, and so on. It was everywhere. Of course, my surgery ended up being far more extensive than originally planned, and yet, when I awoke in recovery and was told what had happened, I was oddly at peace with the world and just relieved to finally have an answer, and an answer that I thought we could work with. When my doctor sat with me a few days later, gently holding me in her arms, she said that whilst everything possible would be done for me, she thought that I should consider giving up work and spending what time I had with my new granddaughter. Wow. So I went home and began a grueling 5 months of chemo, with plans for scans and further surgeries, and facing a very uncertain future. Now, I would like to be able to say that the unwavering love and support I received from my husband and supposed soulmate was a contributing factor to my survival. But sadly, I can't. Suffice to say, our physical and emotional marriage pretty much ended the day that I received my diagnosis. My 3 adult children handled it really well, but my husband of nearly 40 years didn't handle it quite so well. Oh, sure, he cried in the corner of my hospital room, but he wouldn't come near my bed. He sobbed when he made the phone calls to inform family and friends, but in private, he was dry-eyed and he had nothing to say to me. And later, when I was going through my treatment, and I lost all of my hair, he refused to hold me and even said I was ugly. And yet he had no trouble holding my girlfriends and comforting them throughout my ordeal. You see, that was supposedly okay because he assured me they needed it. Now, I don't know if it was pride or shame, but I kept his rejection and neglect of me a secret from everyone. I couldn't understand how my husband, the father of my children, could be so cruel and so cold. And I doubted very much if any of our family or friends would even believe it possible. Outwardly, I think we had always presented as the perfect couple, although in private, I must admit, there had always been some degree of compromise and bullying. Although I had always believed that we would grow old together. Anyway, I managed to get through my treatment, and then my oncologist referred me to the Familial Cancer Centre for genetic testing. And yes, it was discovered that I did in fact carry the BRCA gene mutation. My case, BRCA1. This meant that I was in the high-risk category for not only ovarian cancer, but for breast cancer too. Yay. So, more doctors, more tests, more consults, and finally my team gave me the news. They wanted to remove both of my breasts, just to be safe. There was nothing wrong with them. In fact, they were pretty awesome, but they had to go. Well, as you now know, I had already been stripped of my entire reproductive system and a few bits more. So my breasts were like the final bastion of my femininity, my womanhood. But I gave it a lot of thought, and in 2013 I underwent 10.5 hours of surgery to have a bilateral mastectomy and a diaphragm reconstruction. Wow, those guys are miracle workers. I can honestly say that I have not had a moment's regret about my decision to lose my girls. Now, as I'm sure anyone who has undergone any sort of cancer experience will attest, it changes you. It changes you a lot. Whether you've just had a brush with it or a full-blown, gut-wrenching ordeal, cancer leaves its mark. It saps your strength, your confidence, your autonomy, your confidence, your autonomy. It rocks the rock that you stand on. Whether it be your confidence, your self-image, your drive, your relationship, your friends, or any of a million other things, having cancer can rob you of it. For me, it wasn't just the surgeries, or chemo, or instant menopause, hair loss, weight gain, mood swings, or any of the numerous other treatment side effects that we all know and love. But it was also the breakdown of a 40-year relationship. The hurt of being rejected and spurned and then replaced by a string of women half my age. Once the anger and bickering subsided, I think I just went numb. I was living with a whole world of hurt and betrayal, and ultimately I put up a wall, switched off. For a few years there, I just didn't feel anything. I was too busy getting on with life, trying to cope with the new me, untangling the legal ties of a marriage that was no more, finding my way in the world as a single person, and discovering just who I was now. So, don't know when it happened. There was no warning or fanfare. Nobody else noticed anything. Like a leaf falling from a tree, just happened. I came back. My body woke up from its hiatus, gave me a nudge. This amazing body, with all of its scars, and yes, I still see every one of them, this amazing body just woke up again one day, started to feel again, really feel the urges and drives that had been dormant and really not missed, came back. I know I don't look the way I used to. I don't exactly feel the way I used to either. then again, nor should I. I've been on a journey that we are not all privileged enough to survive. And I respect that. The love I have for my body, even now, with all its imperfections, is insurmountable. It's what allows me to be my glorious self. But am I ready to share my scars with someone else in an intimate way? I think the real question for me here is whether I'm ready to open myself up to trust someone again. Because whilst my body may well be telling me it's ready, I'm not entirely sure my heart is yet. But I don't mind looking. Meanwhile, let me just say, my life is very good and filled with love of family and friends. My new girls are simply amazing and a credit to my surgical team. And I really am one very happy and extremely fortunate individual. And I am very grateful for that. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Maureen.
You're welcome.
Check that I'm on air. Thank you so much, Maureen. What an incredible, honest insight into your journey and experience. We really appreciate you sharing that with us. So we've had a couple of questions come up. One is, what do you think your husband's mind, what do you think went through your husband's mind when you were diagnosed?
Look, I have spoken with my husband about this, and apparently the enormity of my diagnosis was just too much for him to handle. And the physical challenges that I was to endure throughout my treatment and even beyond only horrified and disgusted him, really. Needless to say, there was no further intimacy in our relationship from that December day. Certainly no affection, compassion or solace, sadly. But there was a lot of dissension, grief and indifference that not what one would consider to be conducive to a healing environment, surely.
And the other question, I guess, similar or related to that is, what's your relationship with him like now?
Oh, look, I no longer blame him for failing me in my darkest hours. I've come to understand that not everyone is equipped to deal with challenges in the same way. I am sad that my marriage broke down, certainly, but realistically it had to. We both lead very different lives now. Really, we're very different people now. But we speak amicably if our paths cross. He now lives in Malaysia with one of his latest girlfriends, so we really don't see each other very often. I have encouraged him to have good relationships with our children and encouraged the kids to still see him and try to keep that going. But yeah, as for he and I, we're just amicable now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing, and I'm sure we can all learn something from that. You know, your attitude, just unbelievable, really inspirational. So thank you once again, Maureen, for giving up your time and speaking on our webinar. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.